Aloha and welcome to Spirit Chat. Today I'm going to be talking about two different things. One is going to be an updated energy report, and the next thing is going to be talking about are you more sensitive? And the are you more sensitive part will actually pertain to all different levels of sensitivity, whether you're, just beginning to be sensitive or whether you've been sensitive for a while. I'm going to cover some of those things. I feel like these two subjects blend together, and I feel like they make sense together, which is why I want to give a little bit of information on both. So, I don't know if you've been getting my Spirit Chat texts, but those have been really successful, or people have loved them. They've been super excited about them. If you don't get the Spirit Chat text, what it is I sometimes will send out many reports, many little snippets, text on when an energy wave is coming in or the energy shifting. I started doing that because I felt like I could do more helpful notifications, I guess I would say. More people read their texts often, right? And so I don't want everybody to have to go on social media or Facebook or YouTube or wherever just to get an energy report. I felt like it would be really helpful. Again, this stems from my daughter, which I talked about. I felt like it'd be more helpful for people who are busy, you're working, you have kids, whatever, to just throw you out a little message saying, hey, this is what's going on energetically today. Watch for this, yada, yada. So I sent out one of those earlier this week. Again, if you are not on the list, I will post the number, and all you have to do is text this number. You text Spirit Chat to the number, and you will get a text. I should have had the number up, but apparently I wasn't thinking about it. And do keep in mind that Spirit Chat should be one word. So anyways, as we get into talking about the text, something that's been going on this week for people is there's a really thick energy wave coming through. And when an energy wave comes through that has more weight to it and is thicker, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a low vibration wave, which is probably interesting to a lot of people. It just has a thick tendency to it, a dense tendency to it. And so when the energy comes through very thick like that, it causes people to feel more tired, lethargic, exhausted, even lazy sometimes. And I don't view those types of energy waves as a bad thing, because I feel like it prompts you to relax and recharge. That's really kind of how I view the point of these thicker energy waves coming through. Is it's really a time where you're supposed to slow down a minute and recenter, recharge, and just relax. Because people, especially, here in the States, they tend to go all the time. You're always just moving full speed ahead. And because you're doing that, you forget about your energetic system and your energetic body, and you kind of forget to recenter, recharge. I have a huge problem with doing that myself. Anybody who knows me is like, you need to just chill a minute. You need to just take a second to not be working all the time or doing things. And so I find them beneficial myself, because for me it's a reminder to just kind of hang on a second, just relax and recenter. Now with this particular wave that's come through, there's a few other things that people are experiencing. One is irritability. That tends to be a little bit higher with this wave. And the other thing is ears ringing. Now, that doesn't normally happen with an energy wave coming through, but with this particular one, because of the frequency of it and because of everything that's shifting with this wave, ears ringing is definitely something that is more noticeable. And I haven't had that issue for a long time. It goes through phases where when my vibration was raising a really long time ago, I definitely had a lot more of the ears ringing type of thing going on. But as my vibration is raised, I just go through bouts of it like anybody else would, and I know when my vibration's raising. And with this particular wave, there's a huge vibrational shift. It's really pulling people up and propelling them up to a higher level, and their system's being adjusted. And while their system's being adjusted, for those who have that, they're prone to have that happening, the ears ringing thing, you're probably going to notice that a lot higher. Now, with me in particular, I'm noticing that it's extremely high, but I'm also doing a couple of things that sort of correlate with this wave. So if you notice when we do these energy reports, a lot of your life and things that are going on a day-to-day basis will correlate with the energy reports or the moon phases or whatever. You tend to naturally, when you're in tune with your spiritual body, you tend to naturally be guided towards a direction that's dictated by universal energy or planetary energy or what have you. Doesn't matter what kind of energy, but I'm actually going to be talking about this in a webinar that I'm going to be doing. I've just done a lot of material on it. It's called a rapid fire. So anyways, you will be propelled and guided immediately in a direction. And so a lot of your life actions or things that are going on in your life will correlate with these energy waves without you really even thinking about it. And then you can look back and go, okay, I can see how I definitely had to slow down this week, or with this particular wave, there's a lot of creative energy. There's a lot of spiritual energy that's in it. And that always does two things. One, it leaves the door open for a little bit of irritability because it leaves the door open for low vibrations when the spiritual energy raises. But then for two, it also brings in really creative energy and energy where it's going to raise your vibration as well. So we have a combination of those two things going on. And that would cause the ears ringing. For me, how it's affecting kind of my life is I am very tired, but I'm also working tirelessly on the Empath University. I am working nonstop on that and really trying to kick out some stuff. And it's funny because I'll be working on something and I always go back the next day to check my work as I'm creating these classes. And sometimes I get through them and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was so long and that's probably really horrible, but I just had to kick it out. And then the next day I'll come back and be like, wow, I really like this. That's going to be super helpful. So it's funny, the creative energy is flowing really, really strongly right now. And it's probably touching your vibration and raising it some. So you may be feeling like the urge to be creative or start a new project, or it might just be in the baby stages of trying to put something together or create something or develop something. But there's definitely a high spiritual energy with this thick wave. Now, when you notice that you're having irritable energy or irritable side effects from an energy wave, those are always the time to ramp up clearing as well. As anytime there's, irritability or tired exhaustion, anytime you're feeling a hit from a wave, that's when we do a lot of clearing. And this is a good time to be doing some clearing because it is filled with high spiritual energy as well. And like I just said, that also leaves the door open for lower vibrations. So clearing. It's always a good thing, especially when you're feeling a shift or adjustment. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about, are you more sensitive? Are you noticing that you're being more sensitive? Because this is a subject that I feel like a lot of people are bringing up lately, is they're like, okay, well, why was I feeling this way before and now I'm not, or I'm noticing all these different things, and their mind is kind of going crazy trying to wrap their brain around their sensitivity getting higher. Like I said, it doesn't matter the level of sensitivity, but I feel like that it correlates together with the energy reports because I was actually talking to my nephew the other day who's been staying with us, and while I was talking to him, it's funny because he helps me with a lot of the business stuff, and then he says, I don't know why I've been feeling so exhausted and tired. I'm just like so tired. I just feel lazy. And I looked at him and I was like, don't you get the spirit chat texts? And he says, yes. And I'm like, do you read them at all? Because I literally just talked about this 2 days ago or a couple days ago. And he was like, well, yeah, but I wasn't, he wasn't putting the two and two together for whatever reason. I thought that was hilarious. But in his particular instance, since he's been staying with us, what's kind of happened with him and what happens with people who tend to be around our family for long periods of time is I definitely noticed his sensitivity levels heightening. The same as I noticed after a while my son's girlfriend's sensitivity started heightening a lot. When you're around our family for a long period of time, these particular people that I'm talking about, they start understanding a different way of viewing things, I guess I would say. Their awareness level goes up a lot higher because it's talked about in our house of, oh, okay, yep, this is going on this week. Everybody's feeling irritated or ticked off or whatever, or this is going on this week because, I have all this energy, or spirit activity is high because, the TV will not stop coming on, or Mercury retrograde. You kind of get the picture. So this is a common talk in our household, and it's how we live. We know when to do extra clearing. Everybody's kind of on it. We're all very in tune to what's happening energetically. And when people come into our household, they also start kind of vibing with that tune that we're all, the whole family vibe, I guess I would say. And so their sensitivity levels tend to heighten. And I think that that's a really cool thing. But I noticed this week, as I was talking to my nephew, this can cause a lot of confusion when your sensitivity levels heighten. You start not correlating some things together in your physical body and then your spiritual body. So kind of, I guess I would relate for how I would explain that to people is you want to imagine or kind of view a lot of your emotional body, your emotional stuff that you have going on is a lot of that is attached to your spiritual body. And then you have some other physical things going on, which would be, if you're feeling tired or dizzy or your ears are ringing or you're, irritable is kind of, actually that would be more spiritual body. But you get the drift that I'm talking about here. So I had to walk through it with him on explaining to him more of some of the things that I notice and some of the things that he's going to have to be a lot more aware of, which I want to talk to you guys about as your sensitivities levels are raising. And hopefully your sensitivity levels will always raise. It won't just be something where, you raise and then you don't, and then you raise again. And then that's it. Most people, even such as myself, our sensitivity levels are always raising. They don't really stop. You just continue to grow and expand spiritually, and your vibration tends to expand and grow, and so your sensitivity levels can tend to always raise. That being said, here are some things that we talked about that I feel like is very important when your sensitivity level is raising. One other thing is being a lot more aware of what that means when your sensitivity level is raising. And one of the first things that people will probably notice is physical things and emotional things, because those are tend to be where they focus a lot of their attention on, or it tends to affect their life a lot. And that can be hard to be like, okay, so now how do I know if this is my sensitivity level, or how do I know if this is just the way I always am? Like, what's the difference? Number one, you're a lot more aware of it. That's the first thing. You're a lot more aware of, okay, why am I feeling so lethargic or tired or exhausted? Or why am I feeling so irritable? Before, if your sensitivity was lower, you would just kind of ignore it and it wouldn't be a thing, right? But your awareness of it is definitely an indication that your sensitivity level is higher, number one. The other thing about your sensitivity level being higher with physical or emotional stuff going on, it would be very helpful for you to be able to correlate that with actual stuff going on energetically, which is why I created the Spirit Chat texts and the group and why I do these podcasts. So if you feel like it's raising, it would be very helpful for you if you are interested in getting the Spirit Chat text or being in the group or at least checking in with my podcasts and seeing, okay, what's going on energetically if I'm feeling like XYZ. Like, okay, I'm aware that there's a shift in how I'm feeling. It doesn't seem to match anything major going on in my life. And how you would do that with something like, say, being tired or lethargic is, did you just run a marathon? Did you just start working out for the first time in 6 weeks or whatever? Did something correlate you to being very tired? Irritability. Did something set you off? Were you going along just fine and then a particular instance made you ticked off for the rest of the day? You see what I mean? And so that's why you're usually pretty aware of when it has something to do with an energy wave or something as far as universal energy, planetary energy, is because you can't put your finger on why you're feeling exhausted, why you're feeling tired, why you're feeling irritable. And that is a pretty good indicator. If you then have the awareness and you match it with some of the energetic stuff going on, such as the Spirit Chat text or, my podcast or whatever, then it can help solidify that you're like, okay, I understand what's kind of happening now. This isn't always, it's not just me being all crazy. And that is a really nice feeling. Not that you're just not all crazy, which that's a nice feeling too, but that you are experiencing some things that a lot of other people who are sensitive are experiencing in their life. You're sort of on the same page. And then also that can be nice because you realize, oh, I am sensitive. There's something else going on here with me that makes me feel makes me a little bit different, that makes me feel this way. So there's a lot that goes into that sort of thing. Now, the other thing is you may notice if your sensitivity is raising, you may notice your connection with computers or electronics, your presence around them, I guess I would say. You tend to feel electronic energy a lot higher. That's another thing that people who are developing their sensitivities, you definitely notice that computers or electronics, they affect you differently. Like, I can't sleep in the same room as my computer or anything like that. I'm very careful about it. I am on my computer a lot because that's the kind of work that I do. I'm doing energy reports for you guys and podcasts and different, classes and stuff. So that's part of how I deliver my reports and things like that. So I'm very conscientious about when I start getting an overload of energy from electronics. And some of the things that I do for that, this is going to sound really strange, but you can actually clear your electronics. I find it helpful to run incense or sage around them. Or the other thing that I find very helpful is gemstones. And for some people, you may find that helpful. For others, not. Shungite is a really, really powerful gemstone when it comes to protecting yourself from, or I guess I would say shielding, kind of minimizing the electronic energy. And so shungite is very good for that. We sell shungite bracelets on Spiritual Guru Box. If you can't find any, you might be able to find any you might be able to find some in your local store or whatever. That's one of the reasons I brought them in, though, is because we wear them a lot. And I find them super helpful. And we all wear them. A lot of my family members wear them. We layer shungite with other stuff so that it's not something that I don't want to have to think about it, I'm too busy, so I don't want to have to think about, okay, I'm going to be on my computer a lot, so I need to get shungite. I just want shungite on me most of the time. And then I don't have to think about it. It's part of my daily routine. I already know I'm on the computer a lot. It's just not a big thing. So that's what can be helpful with that. And then also you can run, clearing stuff, clearing sage and all that kind of things around your computer. Foods tend to digest differently. How would I say that? Your experience with foods, how your body reacts to foods will be different as your sensitivity level raises. And you might find that some weeks that you're eating just regular stuff and you can just eat how you normally do, and other weeks when, we're maybe having an energy wave coming through and your vibration shifting, nothing sounds good but certain stuff. That happens to me a lot. And I find that I do not always eat super, super clean all the time, but I tend to be drawn to that most of the time. So I like the 80-20 rule kind of, or at least the 70-30 rule, where 70% of the time you're eating, non-processed, non-packaged, or try to eat non-fast food items. And then, of course, there's also other times that you're going to want to have McDonald's filet of fish or something, or Taco Bell or whatever. It doesn't matter. And I don't feel like it's a great idea to deprive yourself of that for the purpose of your vibration or the purpose of developing spiritually. I feel like depriving yourself of anything that you find joyful, or maybe it's a social thing and you're taking your kids, or you're out with a friend or something, that actually lowers your vibration when you deprive yourself of something and you're feeling like, oh, I really miss that, or I feel like I am, I'm feeling like sad a little bit that I can't have that, but it'll be okay because I'll go eat this salad over here. That doesn't do your vibration any good. But you will also notice that you will be more intuitively guided towards foods. In my life, I'm really drawn to vegetables and salads and different things like that. And it's funny because my daughter said when she was younger, she said, I always thought that people who said they like salads were just like, they just said that. They made that up. And then she said when she got older, she realized, oh, I really like salads. So I don't know what is wrong with her as a child. But anyways, I tend to be very drawn towards foods that are minimally processed. And it's not because I'm consciously thinking of it. It's because it's something I begin to crave. It's something that when I think about something I want to eat, that tends to be on my radar. Or things like, I guess I would say not necessarily Taco Bell, but we have some good taco places here that have really natural foods or minimally processed food, right? It's you choose your stuff as you go down the line and you can get like fresh products. But we have a lot of good fresh choices here in Hawaii. And so we're very lucky because of that. And so I tend to be drawn to those things. Now, that doesn't mean I won't eat something crappy every now and again, but I have to be really careful of that myself because processed foods are like, I would say like fast food, different stuff, a lot of fast foods, or even different frozen things from the grocery store. I have to be really careful of that because it doesn't sit well with my system, and it's worse as my vibration has raised. It's worse. I have to just really monitor that. So I'm very much guided by my intuition on. I'm very much guided on my intuition on what I'm eating and that sort of thing. So that's something to really notice and pay attention to. But if you're noticing an energy wave coming through, you're feeling crappy, and you're tired and exhausted and you're irritable, you definitely want to revisit a few things. Food is one of them. And the next thing is exercise. Food is something that you're going to want to go, how have I been doing on that? And caffeine and alcohol, those types of things, those are also things you'll want to be like, okay, you'll want to pay attention to how is that affecting you? How do you feel about having those things in your life? And, can you do it minimally? Can you do it a lot? But you want to pay attention to kind of how you're feeling, and then because it compounds it when you're being sensitive. It just compounds it. Exercise for those who their sensitivities are heightening, I would say, is one of the most important things if you want to stay balanced. And I know that people's eyes just glaze over when we start talking about exercise. They literally do. They're just like, oh, exercise, because it's correlated to weight and, health stuff and all that kind of thing, which it is. But when you're sensitive, there's no way that I could get through doing all the spiritual work I do and feel healthy, feel spiritually and physically healthy if I do not exercise. It's just not going to happen. I've actually accidentally tried it, not on purpose before, or my trainer's out of town or whatever. I'm doing something, family comes to visit, I don't know, whatever it is. And it will get to a point where I just am so sensitive to the spiritual energy around me that it's just like, I can't deal right now. This is like, I'm very edgy. And of course, Lydia is always my great reminder of, have you been to the gym? Like, you really need to get this handled. You need to get into there. So for a while, I kind of thought I could be like everybody else, and it's okay if I miss things here and there. It is just not okay. I have learned over the last 5 years, it is not okay. And if I get on a pattern or a rule of doing other things in my life, and then I start getting to a place where I'm getting spiritual overload and I'm not processing my spiritual information through to my physical body in a way that feels good to me, because I process a lot of spiritual information on a day-to-day basis. I am receiving insane amounts of spiritual information. My vibration is raising consistently to a very high level because I have to reach for that information, and then it flows through to my physical body. But if I do not offset that with exercise, I can be a hot mess. I'll tell you that. I am no different than you guys. And so when my nephew was talking about all of these things that he was going through, and I pointed out the obvious of him not checking the Spirit Chat texts, then we started going through, and I started pointing these things out to him, and I said, here's what you have to start paying attention to. One, the text, and noticing that you're having the same thing going on as everybody else, or is it affected by an energy wave? The next thing, how have you been eating? He hadn't been doing really great on the eating thing at that point in time. And then the next thing was exercise. I'm noticing the longer that he has stayed here with us, the more that his sensitivities have heightened. Exercise is becoming a major factor in his life, where before when he came, it was a minimal factor. Then it became a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. Well, now he's gotten to the point with sensitivity level where it's got to be very much on his radar, especially when he's starting to not feel his best. So these are things that I feel is very important for everybody to pay attention to, especially if your sensitivity levels are raising. Oh, the last thing, I almost forgot about this one, which is a biggie. Negativity. Anybody that you're subjecting yourself to, or any negative type environments, you will really want to be aware of, and you will be hypersensitive to as you becoming more sensitive. We talked about that a little bit the other day too. And we were also talking about that doesn't seem to be a high determining factor for him in particular, but I felt like it was important just to remind him and point that out, because he tends to be around a lot of our family, and the people who he's around in our environment are just not negative people. We're very shielding from negative people in our environment. We're very, we don't bring them into our life very often. If we do, it's very short periods of time. So that doesn't seem to be a huge factor for him, but I know it's a huge factor for a lot of people. So there's a lot going on. If your sensitivity is raising, you might be on a sensitivity scale, whether you're at a 1 or a 7 or an 8 or a 10 or a 5, whatever. And if you personally feel like it's raising, which I think is happening to a lot of people currently, and by currently I mean not just the last couple years, but even this week because of this nice wave that's coming through, you're going to be wanting to pay more attention to the things that we talked about, your mood and computers, electronic type stuff, and food and exercise and negativity. You're going to want to be more on high alert with those things. I don't like that word high alert, but you will want to definitely be more educated with your awareness with how it affects your body. And you will want to try to ignore it because it's easier and you will forget. And then you can come back and listen to this podcast. But that's a normal thing. So don't beat yourself up over that. People just tend to do that and they get busy and it's easier to just do their regular routines. But you will be much happier and you will feel better and more balanced as you're more aware of these things in your life. So hopefully that you're finding this helpful and hopefully you're working yourself through the wave pretty well. I would do some clearing tonight if I was you and, kind of clear your house, even run it around your electronics as you're clearing because I think that it's warranted right now. So that's an extra thing. And definitely get some exercise in. As far as exercise goes, just to touch on that a little bit again, it's not something where you have to necessarily, you don't have to have a trainer. You don't have to necessarily go to the gym, but just get moving. Like there's so many YouTube videos out there. You can, if weather's a factor, you can walk. Just moving. Exercise, I don't mean has to be like a vigorous exercise, but most people don't even find themselves going out and vigorously walking or, they're not moving their body enough during the day and not outside in nature enough during the year. So that's what I mean. You don't have to be all crazy. Just do more movement than you're doing currently. That's kind of your goal. And then try to do more movement than you did that the next time. And then, to where you're getting a nice movement routine, I guess I would say. Maybe we should just call it a movement instead of exercise, because I feel like that exercise just makes people just shut down immediately and go, oh, exercise, like it's a bad word or something. Anyways, yeah, and thinking of that, we came back from the gym the other day, and my daughter goes with me, and somebody said something about, was that fun? And I'm like, I don't really ever think that's fun. I don't think of exercise as fun, but what gets me through it is I feel really good after, and I feel really good during. Like the whole, stuff that's going on with your body and the whole grounding that happens during that aspect. It really pulls my two bodies together, and it makes me feel a lot more strength physically and spiritually. It really does. It really strengthens both my bodies a lot. And I like that feeling. Mentally, I'm not like going, this is awesome, but I just ignore that part and just go to the strength thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this podcast today. If you want to get on the Spirit Chat text, the mini energy reports, definitely look below. I will post the number. You will have to text Spirit Chat, one word. And if you do it correctly, because some people have done like 2 words, Spirit Chat, whatever. If you do it correctly, it'll send you a text back saying, hey, it's me, whatever. And so look for that. Then if you want to get into my spirit community, the one on Facebook, you can go to empowered-empath.com. You can just jump on over there, and there's a link to all my stuff over there. There's a link to my YouTube and my Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. And lastly, if you enjoyed this podcast, definitely subscribe and put the notification bell on. And as always, I'm trying to get to comments within the first 24 hours. So if you enjoyed the podcast or had something to say or have a question, I'm looking on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, put something in the comments section. I'm watching those and answering those as much as I can. So until next time, have the most amazing day. Aloha.